Hey, welcome back. Welcome to RO class. When designing a random orbit polisher, the best thing to do is to speak to a detailer who uses them every day and has ample experience, and that's what Final Inspection have done here. The Velvet Revolver, Beetlejuice and Titan were all the result of extensive consideration of the most important features and characteristics our professional detailers required in their ancillary correction tools. As with the rotary polisher, all these tools must be as compact as possible, especially around the gearbox to facilitate reach, because any unnecessary bulk, especially in this area, restricts the ability of this machine to assist putting the detail into detailing. Noise is always a concern, and especially ROs are generally noisier than rotary polishers. However, at the highest RPM and with the most load, a simple set of average isolating ear protection will reduce this to below 50 decibels, and average noise cancelling will allow music at a low volume to completely remove the machine noise. Experienced paint correction professionals can never have enough power. 600 watt machines are too anemic for professional use, and 900 watts is an absolute minimum, but including a motor that's larger than 1000 watts, and the package size increases significantly with balance and weight spoiling ergonomics. We value machines that can stand upside down and don't tip easily. Machines that tip over contaminate their pad with whatever debris is on the surface they come in contact with. And that's usually a dirty garage or workshop floor or a driveway, and that debris has to be cleaned before it gouges some damage into your polishing surface. Storing the machine upright also avoids any flat spotting of the pad. Now, since the most controlled way to hold a machine is at either end of it, usually left hand on the machine head and right hand on the tail, holding the machine at each end this way gives you control and safety. So the machine should include a trigger that's positioned on the tail where your right hand grips the machine. A locking mechanism that's easily engaged is a must for machines designed for prolonged use, and we consider easily and quickly disengaging the lock to be a safety requirement. Ideally, the trigger should have at least a 2-step speed control built in, separate to the main speed control, and both Beetlejuice and Titan triggers have multi-point variability, allowing the operator to achieve less speed than the lowest setting on the speed controller, and a more intuitive and more easily dialed in way to raise and lower speeds independently of the speed set on the controller. All controls are based around right-handed operation and make reaching and adjusting them second nature with very little experience. These characteristics will give the operator enough comfort to be able to use the machines all day without any significant fatigue, and in an emergency, make it quick and safe to stop the machines should the situation arise. With thousands of Velvet Revolvers sold and an unexpectedly low failure rate of less than 2%, the improvements in Beetlejuice and Titan should improve reliability further. A professional tool must either be reliable or affordable enough to purchase an identical backup for redundancy. Ideally, good reliability paired with low cost is the goal, and at $250 and $275 respectively, most professional detailers will be able to afford both machines and have duplicate backups. Polishers are relatively safe machines. These aren't table saws or routers, so don't be afraid to purchase, use and enjoy them. However, treat it with respect because it can hurt you and it can damage someone's pride and joy. Always wear hearing, respiratory and eye protection, and this reduces the fatigue from the loud, continuous drone you'll otherwise have using these tools the way that detailers do. Any power tool that spins will fling debris and catch clothing, so protect yourself against that by wearing glasses and/or a full face shield, and never wear loose clothing. Like any type of polishing, light floating particles are a byproduct. You're effectively sanding the surfaces you're working on, and most of that material is unfortunately airborne. Keep those particles out of your lungs by filtering it, preferably with the most comfortable and highest filtration mask that you can afford. And never operate any power tool unless you're alert. The first thing to do after removing your tool from its box is attaching a foam pad and familiarising yourself with it. Get used to the balance and how the switchgear feels, how to start, stop and adjust the speeds, which shouldn't take too long. Next step will be to get yourself a panel which we recommend to polish to destruction. Purposely burn the paintwork so you're aware of what the friction, sounds and smells leading up to a stripe through feel, sound and smell like, because knowing what it's like to burn through paint gives you an understanding of what to avoid. Good correction always requires good foundations, and so never skip a proper wash and decontamination. Check out our video on these processes before skipping straight to the paint correction step. Now with a clean, dry vehicle with smooth, decontaminated surfaces, start out by cutting in. The best random orbit polisher for cutting in would be the Velvet Revolver or any 8mm RO with 75 to 90mm pads. However, on some vehicles, you may be able to use Beetlejuice or any 15mm RO to cut in sufficiently. Large throw orbitals, such as the 21mm Titan, are not recommended for cutting in processes. The ideal machine here would be a rotary polisher. You should see our video rotary class for an explanation. Use less polish than you think. Read the directions of use, they're there for a reason. A common mistake is to use too much polish and fill the pad with it. That'll mean mess and just inefficient correction. You want enough abrasives to cut and you want enough lubrication to avoid excessive friction. Polish is both abrasive and lube, but too much will clog your pad. Always start on a low speed, about 1 to 2 on your Velvet Revolver or Beetlejuice, and increase speed as you're getting comfortable until you reach a speed that gives you the most efficiency. You never have to polish at higher than the lowest speeds. As long as the pad is turning, you're achieving correction. Faster is faster, which is better, but not at the expense of damage. Don't be a hero, just stick to a reasonable speed. Every so often, check your panel temps. If the surface is warm, that's normal. If it's too hot to comfortably touch, that's not good. If you're keen, you can measure temps and attempt to keep them in the working range of the polish, which for cap heavy, medium and ultrafine is 30 to 60 degrees. Too much heat damages the ability of lubrication in the polish to do its job. Think of your polish like engine oil. It prefers to work within a range and it fails to provide you with that assurance outside its design parameters. After correction of that section, you can remove your spent polish abrasives with a paintwork cloth and paint cleanse. Paint cleanse or truth serum allows you to see the true correction by removing all the polish from the surface with no residue. Using a cloth only may leave traces of the polish lubricants which can fill minor marks and give you a false reading of your correction. If you're happy with your correction, move on to the next area. If not, repeat the process until you are. A second or third pass to achieve correction perfection is not uncommon. Immediately after every pass, spur the spent abrasives on your pad with a spurring brush. If you don't have one, a hard bristled brush, even a toothbrush will do. More bristles are just faster. Don't use excessive pressure, especially with foams, as you'll damage the face of the pad, probably taking chunks out of it. Wool is much more forgiving and cleans a little easier. Spurring your pad immediately after correction when the foam is warm and soft makes spurring easier. Foam is more malleable immediately after correction when it's still warm. Bulk correction is usually best with a pad that's 125 to 150mm in diameter, that's 5 to 6 inches for our friends up there. For Titan, a 175mm or 7-inch pad can be useful on some vehicles. Increasing the pad size beyond 175mm generally reduces efficiency due to the excessive frictional load, and it reduces your machine life. Matching a pad to the backing plate gives the benefit of applying pressure all the way to the edge of the pad and generally increases pad life slightly, with the only downside being risk. The backing plate is exposed and will damage any surface it comes into contact with. Oversizing a pad gives you significantly more protection against damaging a surface the pad comes into contact with by shielding the backing plate. It's a good idea for amateurs to oversize their pads and lubricate the edge of the pad with polish. You can take protection one step further by also lubricating the edges of protruding objects. Foam is the recommended material for general correction with a 15mm or 21mm orbital, and nanofiber is recommended for 8mm or underpowered machines or fine finishing with fine abrasive polish. Foam builds and holds more heat than nanofiber, which can be useful but increases risk. Phone is a compromise between cutting and finishing abilities. Wool cuts faster than foam and is designed for cutting steps only. Wool keeps panel temperatures low and provides more user feedback than other materials, but less so on orbitals. If you're not sure about these machines, you can contact Final Inspection and hire one or all of them, and you can experience them for yourself. I hope this was informative and entertaining as always. If you have any questions, never hesitate to ask. Have fun, stay safe,